Hello everyone, my name is Yemi Davids. Yemi Davids indeed.
Conversations.
Hello everyone, my name is Bimbo Davids. On Conversations today, we talked about long distance marriages, the challenges that it poses on couples having to maybe you have your husband or wife in another country and you're here in this country, our country, Nigeria, and having to deal with all the consequences, I would say, of such a relationship or having that kind of marriage. Well, it's not an easy step to take. And I know that it's peculiar to different couples. So we just want to just share about on that and this episode. Thank you.
Conversations.
The truth is, I think Bimbo will help us a lot here because
Who help-
she's so
help me
endowed
get that.
with God's wisdom
Really?
to help to admonish us. Because sometimes I wonder how people handle that, especially when you want to look at the real essence of marriage, for friendship, for companionship. I agree that there are times when husband and wife could be away from each other, maybe because of education, but when it appears like there's no end in sight to the situation, that gives me a lot of concern.
Especially if there are children also involved.
Yeah.
Because how do you reconcile, missing important events in your child's life, in your spouse's life? Yes, thank God for technology. Thank God for, media devices and all, but it's still it's like a time bomb sometimes, I think, waiting to explode when we have things like that, marriages like that, and like you said, there's no end in view. I remember I was talking to a couple close to us that are in that case, and one of the striking things he said is that if it is not necessary,
Okay.
except it is absolutely necessary, he would not advise it. And this was someone that is already there. So a lot of couples need to understand that it is not as easy as we think it is. Yes, you want to travel for whatever reasons. And I think that's where we should start from.
Conversations.
Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to follow us on all platforms, especially on Conversations. Thank you. Why are you traveling? Why are you actually leaving your country? Yes, there's education. After 2 years, you come back at least, or 3 years, or 4 years at least. You can still endure like 4 years. You can still endure like 3 years. But when there is like, hey, and especially in our most of our situations, I don't want to say. Let me just put it this way: some of the people that travel, they are there, but their document is here.
Yeah,
So it's not easy because some people have that in view that, okay, when I travel, maybe when you start working, the company you're working for, they give you papers, and then it's easy for you to get your family there. But we all know that there, in most cases, 99.9% of the cases, it is
Yeah, I mean,
adopted.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to be asking Bimbo questions, and she'll be answering us. No, because I mean, I remember I was dealing with a case some months ago where the husband and wife had been apart for 9 years. I don't like that. It pains me. And I was asking the wife, what is happening? He said the husband is still working on his documentation, and it's 9 years. You've not seen each other. So
9 years is a lot.
so they have children,
It's a lot. In 9
So
years, your child that you gave birth to has finished primary school, has entered secondary school. That is a lot. So it's we need to start, asking people. I don't know if I can do it. We can't. Are you ready to go through the consequences? Or the effect, let me say it as effect. The effect of having such a relationship. except you, I don't know, except you can discipline yourself, because there's sexual temptations involved, sexual intimacies. There is bonding involved. Except you can actually categorically tell us, or tell, that in spite of the distance, you are still very close. I know that some people can do it, but it's not easy. Do you know the sacrifice that you have to do? I mean, especially with time zone difference, you have to, when somebody's about to sleep, the other person is waking up. So the person has to wake up with you and maybe in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., just to talk to you. It's so difficult. It's really difficult. And I know that's the situation for a lot of people, especially a lot of Nigerians that travel Canada, UK, US, and all. But it's just the reality of what people need to look at.
Now, before we talk about those who are already in this situation now, I want to encourage a lot of our folks that are traveling this season. For those of us that are from Nigeria, we know we have a peculiar situation, the economy, insecurity, it's alarming. Educational system is not encouraging, and people are really moving. We call it japa, in our parlance here, and a lot of young people are moving, young couples. I just want you to be conscious of this. Because sometimes people, in a bid to resolve a problem, they create another problems in the future, which can be more devastating. Please think about your children, think about your marriage. Think about your marriage. I'm a stickler for husband and wife
being together.
Don't risk it. Don't assume that, okay, when I go there, this will just happen. Those kind of things are created all kinds of problems where the woman will have to take care of the children alone, or the man will have to take care of the children alone. Please, I know people are jackpying, and if you are preparing to jackpot, please, there's a future. Your marriage, your children, what are the plans? And then please, I'm not saying Nigeria is the best place to live in today. We are trusting that as elections come by, in 2023, we would have better leadership and the country will stabilize, But please, think well about the future. Many just jump and then they realize that maybe they've jumped too early or they've jumped wrongly, and then they now begin to pick the pieces of their lives over the decades. I don't think it should be like that. Sometimes I worry when you have been apart for that long, 9 years, even when you now come together, are you both still the same? How will there be a proper wielding of yourselves? Wouldn't it look like you just got married or you're marrying the wrong person, So I just want to say that for those who are jackpying this season, because we have been tempted about jackpying. As pastors, we have some documents, the pressure is there, even from family, relatives, some of our parents were saying, that it's easy to just tell people to make a move. But what about the consequences? Thank God for my pastor. He warned me before now. I don't know I think it was like a prophetic kind of thing. He just called me one day and said, be careful of this. Whatever would put you and your wife away from each other might not be the best things for you. Thank God he said that before those opportunities showed up, because the temptations are there. So I understand how people are grappling with that. But wise people think of the future, and not too wise people only live for the present.
Sure, but I want to ask, we are Christians, and I know a lot of Christians are watching. You hear some comments sometimes where people say, we are Christians. We will trust God. God will help us. God will, we know God, so how do we balance that, for Christians that talk about God in this situation?
Let's see. One of our pastors that left the country many years ago and was processing his documentation. Thank God he went with his family. I remember things were so tough, there was a temptation to take a shortcut. The shortcut of you lie, marry some, those things. And I said, no, I don't support that. Go through the process. It took them harrowing 4 or 5 years. Now they have their documents legally, as it were. And, that's better. I realized that in life, you can't build lie upon lie and have a great future.
Even when you claim to be a Christian. Yeah.
This is very sensitive. I know some people might fight me on this. You can't build lie on lie not lie. You've been lies on lies. It compounds the problem, and you can't do faith on that. So this, I know God will just do it. It has to be mercy. My brutal truth is many that really see a great future and trust God genuinely will really need to take certain sacrificial steps to put things in order and then build from there. I hope somebody's heart can actually pick that. Believe me, because the future is not far. And thankfully, what the pandemic did was to democratize a lot of things. If the nation you are in now does not settle the matter, you can still go to another nation later. But you might need to rebuild. It's like saying, like we hear, a broken courtship is better than a broken marriage. If you realize that I've done something wrong, this is not going to help, you project it. You might, I won't say the details of the kind of step you need to take. Someone might say, what is the meaning of that?
No, okay.
You need to take a very sacrificial step, trusting in that same God. And I've seen people do that. I won't lie to you. You know, it's amazing. There's a lady in our church. She was in Canada, and something happened to her in our marriage. You know the story. Happened to her marriage. It was very bad. And the Holy Spirit said she should come back to Nigeria. She came back. She's a top manager now in one of the insurance companies. She's getting married in February. Now, if she wants to now go to another country or the same country, it's easy. The challenge with many people is they don't like to reverse. And I said to people, when you are in a shopping mall, you know, and you have parked your vehicle and you've bought your stuff, sometimes when you want to move forward, you know, you can't just drive forward because you're going to break the culvert. You understand? Most of the time you reverse.
Yeah.
And when you reverse, you have a clear way, and then you drive out. That you are reversing does not mean that you are getting worse. It's to get a clear, but many people don't, they see that, I can't go back, what will people say? That thing that you are saying, what people say,
it's
many more
costly.
things will be said in the next 20 years.
It's very costly. Very,
this is
very
hard.
costly. Yeah.
Very, very hard. There are other options. I've just said that's one of the options. But don't build lies upon lies and say you are trusting God. I'm not sure it works that way.
Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to follow us on all platforms, especially on Conversations. Thank you. A lot of couples will have to do extra work. You can't live like others in that sense. Other couples that are together. You have to do extras. And a lot of people don't have the time to do those extra things. You know, apart from the sacrifice, that's very big sacrificial step. There are other things that you need to do. Like I said earlier, you would have to do more. You will have to wake up at times when other people are sleeping. You would have to ensure that you bond intentionally. And it's not easy to do that. So it's still some of the things that people have to wake up to, that this is where we are. If you're not there, be sure before you get there. And if you're there, like we said, we may not be able to say, okay, do this or do that, but sometimes the fear of being shamed, a lot of people have that fear of, if I do that reversal, that's, you know, okay, I need to reverse, but what will people say? You know, the truth of right now, it's not about what people will say. It's about it's about your life, honestly, because some people have lost lives because of this kind of thing. Some people have lost their marriages. So look at your priorities. What do you value? Is it about being there or having a home or having a bond or having a family? You know, so there are some things that we can't even afford to say things. What will people say? Yes, people will say, people will mock you, yes, but after 2 months or after 3 months, they will go back they will move on.
Maybe they will respect you, sir.
In fact, yeah.